we go.
Fratelloni's
And you can't make me.
Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores brings you Garage Logic Podcast number 1471, January 27, 2025. Seems to me like January just began.
Yeah.
47 degrees on this day in 1934 and 23 below on this day in 1950.
Hail the Flashlight King.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Haidt in the newsroom, and of course, the rookie. Here is your Flashlight King, Fireworks Commissioner, and the Keeper of Common Sense, your mayor, Joe Soucheray.
Hello. So, do you offer tutoring services? I am confused.
Oh, my God.
If you do, I would like to inquire about more information. I do live in St. Paul as well and would just come to your house if that's easier for you. Thanks, Emily. No, we don't. Where did this tutoring BS start? We don't have a tutoring service. This show is your class.
Right. We got a connection to one, but
Yeah.
it's in St.
We
Paul.
don't have a tutoring service. And what's this? Oh, I heard you discussing the LA reservoir and gallons of water and lakes being measured in acres. I had the same thought and created a simple formula. Volume in millions of gallons equals lake size in acres. Example, Lake Calhoun, 419 acres, 30-foot average depth equals 4,190 million gallons. Santa Ynez Reservoir, 9.2 acres, must have been 40 feet deep to store 120 million gallons. That's from Kai. He did a math problem, and I appreciate him doing that, but I have no idea how to do that myself. Bob writes, I was fascinated by the discussion on the Floyd Memorial, especially the revelation of the $2.2 million already spent. I was anxiously awaiting for one of the staff to look up where all the money went, who got it, but that never happened. You all and most GLers must have the same curiosity I have. Please find out and tell us. Thanks, Bob Distad. Well, Bob, I can tell you it is not a mystery to us. You would find it terribly difficult to specifically audit the funds spent on designing various applications for George Floyd Square. And the money went to the convening of meetings and bringing in outside consultants and getting the tea and cookies and maybe adding a couple of new computers, and it was all wasted, Bob. And I'm not exaggerating. It was $2.2 million that went up in smoke, and more will continue to go up in smoke because the incompetence level is beyond our understanding. And it's been 5 years, and more hundreds of thousands of dollars will be wasted on this pretending that the bureaucrats and elected officials in St. Paul in Minneapolis have some answer for George Floyd Square. They do not have an answer, and it continues to cost people. And finally, Downing has a great point, and I want you to play your water thing from Trump.
Okay.
Trump had a hell of a weekend.
Yeah, he did.
His energy level cannot be disputed. Mm-hmm. And Melania went with him. She had the ball cap on and
That was a good look.
the outdoor boots and the quilted, Patagonia jacket, the whole deal. She was there. She did linger in California. When Don was talking to the press, she lingered and gave a big smooch to Gavin Newsom. But I don't think she looked at Gavin Newsom the way she once looked at that little Trudeau fruitcake in Canada. That was a fond gaze she gave him. Downing, offsite correspondent, notes, among the other things Trump said this weekend was clean out Gaza. Get Egypt and Jordan to take the people and just clean it up. Clean it out. And Trump says, Trump repeatedly comes up with things that you just can't say or you can't do. He doesn't care. It occurred to me today that Trump is the only politician truly unburdened by what has been.
That's true.
So Downing's taking a Kamala line and applying it to Trump because Trump truly is unburdened by what has been. Here is Trump talking to a congressman from California whose name is
Representative Brad Sherman.
Brad Sherman's a Democrat.
Yes, sir.
And Trump is sitting at a U-shaped conference table with all sorts of Los Angeles
Karen
authorities.
Bass.
The mayor, Karen Bass, is present. This representative, what's his name again?
Brad Sherman.
The representative, Brad Sherman. And they're all prepared to conduct business as usual in the political world. They still don't get this guy. They still think that he's going to buy their BS. And so you get this exchange.
Relief, items which will prevent it or at least mitigate it from happening again. So you're going to see us proposing both of those.
Like water. Little
We're
things
gonna
like
do
water.
that for
You
them.
know, the party of common sense. See, we're the party of common sense. You're not, in all fairness.
Yes, sir.
We like water to put out fires. It's really quite efficient. All right.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. No, what I watched the whole thing. What they wanted, what they said. Do you have the interaction with Trump and Karen Bass?
Oh, you know what? Give me a moment.
Karen Bass is saying, we want people to be able to get in and go to their properties. And Trump's saying, no, they want to go now, tonight. Let them in. Let them in there. And she doesn't know what to say because this isn't why she was the mayor.
I'm flying blind here, so let me just hang on.
It's part of.
Individuals want to clear out their property, they can. Well, yes, but you know that you will be able to go back soon.
Mr. President.
We think within a week.
That's a long time, a week. I'll be honest. To me, everyone's standing in front of their house. They want to go to work, and they're not allowed to do it.
And the most important
week
thing
is
is
a
for
long
people to
time.
be safe.
They're safe.
That is.
Anyway, there you go.
Well, it's just.
Was that like a Zoom meeting or something?
No, they were sitting
They
basically
were all
next
in
to
a
each other.
room, and they all, the water people were there, the electric people were there, the representatives were there, the mayor was there, the aides of the mayor were there. And Trump's listening to this, and he said,
Hold up.
wait a minute, these people want to go in right now
Let's go.
and see what's left of their place. And she said, well, maybe a week. And he's saying to her, basically, well, BS. Let them in now. Well, they have to be safe. And she talked about hazardous materials. And he said, what hazardous materials? Everything burned. There's nothing there to bother them. Let the people in.
Right.
I'm personally, I find that wonderful. He's unburdened by what has been.
And AOC took a shot at him for not being in L.A. the day before, even though he was in North Carolina with the hurricane.
Oh, he handled that situation too, from what I hear.
Yep.
Is it handled, or is it in the process of being handled?
It's
Because I'm hearing through secondhand channels that these folks are all going to get housing, and it's going to happen right away.
It has. It's begun. They're housed. Yeah, he's making it happen.
All right.
And one final email note before we move on was from Bob Strauss. He's leaving for their annual St. Martin and Anguilla winter trip this week. In prep, I checked in the local St. Martin News website, found an article regarding local crime. It's charming. It's an article never to be written by our local news, much less ever published in the St. Paul or Minneapolis newspapers. FYI, GL number 1 in Anguilla T-shirt is packed. So there's a group going off, and he linked me to a crime story that was about the students are targeting patrons Students on their way to school are targeting patrons enjoying the beach and stealing bags and other personal belongings. Such unlawful and antisocial behavior is unacceptable, and they're cracking down on parents to immediately take action to monitor and correct their children's behavior. So I suppose a kid walking to school sees some American tourist there, and he tries to wander in and see what he's got. Well, they're taking care of that.
All righty.
Now on to the news of the day.
You get the feeling that everybody knows each other on that island.
I do.
There's probably about 50 people total in the school.
I got a neighbor that goes to St. Martin every year, and they get the same place. They know the restaurant. It's very small. The market is panicked today because of a Chinese company that has created an app called DeepSeek, and the cute little icon is a whale. Get it? The whales dive deep, and it's called DeepSeek. It's the #1 app right now on Apple apps, and it's AI. And the reason investors are going crazy is because apparently China has pulled this off very inexpensively. They came up with the better mousetrap for artificial intelligence. It didn't cost them much at all. I don't pretend to understand any of this, but and I'll give you my definition of what I think AI is.
Okay, I'd like to hear that.
Yeah.
I can't. Are we rolling tape, Chris?
Yeah,
Yes, we are.
Well, it sounds to me like it's just Google squared. Right now, can you access Google through Siri?
I think so, right?
Well, the point of this app apparently is you hit the little whale and you say, what's the square root of 563? And the answer instantly comes up 7 or whatever the answer would be.
Hang on.
Instantly.
What's the square root of 573?
The answer is approximately 23.9374.
Couldn't hear it.
Okay.
Well,
so-
it answered. So that was a quick response. I don't have this app.
Okay, now that's interesting because isn't that a form of artificial intelligence, what you just did?
Sure. Yeah.
Yes. Well, it computed. It didn't think.
But it was virtually instant to me.
Yes.
So therefore, everything I was going to say is no longer correct.
I didn't mean to take 5
I
minutes
don't.
out
No,
of your
no,
show.
you're fine. What I was going to say is that apparently the instantaneousness must be the attraction point of DeepSeek, the instantaneous. But how instant do I need? That was pretty instant.
That was a pretty simple. I mean, if you ask what the hypothesis of whoever it is, maybe that's where deep sea.
How many children did Napoleon have?
I don't know.
Oh.
How many children did Napoleon have?
With today's non sequitur, here's Joe Souchere.
Napoleon's 5 sons are Napoleon II, Charles Leon, Alexander Kolonowski, Jules Barthélemy Saint-Hilaire, and Eugen Megerli von Mahelfeld.
They stuck a Polak in there.
Yeah, how about that? We'll go Poles.
Are any of those foghornable?
Okay, then never mind. I don't know what the hell deep whale is or whale seek. Well, deep seek. Deep seek. I don't know what.
it's just
I don't know
competition.
why it's better. I don't know why. That you've given me 2 examples, and you were talking to Siri for that, right?
Yes.
You've given me 2 examples of how much more instantaneous do I need. That was instantaneous. What is DeepSeek's attraction? John, help me. Help me.
I'm looking.
Well, isn't this just an example of everyone trying to build a better birdhouse?
But how could it be better than what he just did?
Well, because everyone is always trying to build that new thing that everyone has to have, right? That's the whole game of this.
Well, I'll stay on my current thread of thought. Rookie already has it.
Right. But just
What's
because
better
there's-
than he has?
Just because there's one form of social media, there's always another one being developed in an effort to overtake the previous one.
DeepSeek's multi-head latent attention mechanism improves its ability to process data by identifying nuanced relationships and handling multiple input aspects at once. The advanced system ensures better task performance by focusing on specific details across diverse inputs, whatever that means.
So some guy, I read about it today, some guy that went to some technological school in China, you know, he was the
Nerdy Chinese guy.
just like the guys who came up with the computer in the garage in Berkeley. He's screwing around in his workbench or writing code or something, and he goes, "Oh, I wonder if I press this and do this and this," and he comes up with this. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's got the flubber going.
Okay, so what? I'm trying to think how AI affects my life, and does it? Now, I come in every day and I use computers. I use a computer to look up something.
Well, look at over the years. Do you remember that first dial-up we had in Maplewood?
Sure.
So 35 years of whatever, and now I pick up the phone and I can get information. So technology has advanced.
Okay, then a better question is, where is AI leading that I will know that it's affecting my life?
Information gathering.
How
Well,
fast
are we
do you need
getting
it?
are we getting to the point where I'll sit down at my desk in the morning and AI will tell me what I'm going to be seeking?
Yes.
How do it know?
A lot of that stuff is already happening, Joe, that you don't even know.
One of the ways it knows, Joe, is by following and reading your history. Keeps track of what you do every day on the internet. So, and I'm surprised it hasn't happened already. It will, instead of you looking for the information you seek out every day, it'll be sitting there waiting for you when you log on.
Okay, then here's what's inevitable. I will sit down at my desk in the morning at home and I will press a button and AI will say, "Good morning, Joe. Here's your show for today."
Sure.
Okay, then isn't the inevitable next step is that AI doesn't need Joe?
That is my goal with News from the Krabby Coffee Shop. And we have discussed this off the air. We're trying to figure out a way that AI can replicate Kenny and Amy and do the show for us.
Well, I don't. You're trying to be a smartass.
No,
but-
I'm not, Joe. I'm
but-
absolutely serious.
But you're not far-fetched.
no, I
In
think
other words,
I'm right
well,
on track.
review my lesson again. I come down in the morning, and today it's DeepSeek might say, "Hi, Joe, we did a little work for you. Here's your show for today," and it gives me all kinds of stuff on the failed academy and this and that and the other thing. Okay, well then, how long before I come down today and it says, "Joe, you're not needed today. We'll do the show."
Well,
That would
according
suck.
to my calendar, that's going to happen this Thursday, right?
Is that the next edition of Coffee?
No, that's when we're having
When
Garofalo.
I just typed into ChatGPT show prep for Garage Logic, it just gave me an entire paragraph. Are you asking about preparing for an episode of the Garage Logic radio show? Or are you asking about prepping for a Garage Logic based project, like organizing or setting up a garage space? If I were to give it further instruction, it probably would do that.
Right, and apparently what DeepSeek does, the little whale icon, it's better than ChatGPT.
It's a bit of an upgrade.
It's an upgrade from ChatGPT.
Okay.
So you could say to ChatGPT, what is it?
ChatGPT.
ChatGPT.
No. Swing and a miss.
GPT.
Two strikes, three balls.
T.
I said that. GPT. GPT.
Siri, did he
Right
really
now,
say that?
a student, for example, could say to ChatGPT, "Could you please write me an essay on
Napoleon.
J.D. Salinger's short stories, Franny and Zoe?" And it
That's
would
a good one.
And it is, and it would do that. So now I hit the whale button and say, "Could you please write me a term paper on Franny and Zoe for my English class?" I wonder what would make the whale's response better than ChatGPT.
That I don't know. I don't have any familiarity with.
Neither do I.
The younger nerd says, I think you might, I said, what is Deep Sea? I think you might be
It's
referring to
DeepSeek.
DeepSeek, which is a new AI that was released but is trained to lie. And the older nerd says, They launched last week with an open source AI product, meaning all of the code is public and you don't pay them anything. Basically, completely democratizes things like ChatGPT. Chinese base, less of a threat as it puts enormous pressure on OpenAI, Google, Microsoft, Anthropic to go faster and go more open source. So you're right, Joe. They put out a better product.
What was in it for the Chinese to essentially make this free?
Information gathering.
That's, yeah, world domination.
This is a good
what they're trying to
comparison.
do.
It's like having to pay for a browser on your computer, but with DeepSeek now, it's free.
This is easier than buying farmland around nuclear facilities in North Dakota.
Ask Siri one more question.
Go.
What's for lunch?
Are Chinese interests buying American farmland?
Are Chinese interests buying American farmland?
Despite concerns that China is buying or leasing all the farmland in the United States, new Cornell-led research shows that this is not the case.
Okay.
This answer is from nationaltribune.com.
Thank you, dear. Back in your cage.
welcome.
Now, then, do you trust this? Do you trust what you just heard?
No.
That's the problem here.
Oh, I'm sure
It's like
Cornell.
fact checking
Right.
for the last 8 years. Fact checking. Biggest liars on the planet are the fact checkers.
Who checks the fact checkers?
Joe, have we made any headway, any progress here? Do you feel
So
like
this
we've
is-
solved anything?
So OpenAI is akin to Netscape, the browser. Perplexity is akin to Alta Vista Ask Jeeves.
You lost him.
Microsoft uses Microsoft, and Google is in the peculiar position of becoming a tech giant with potential Yahoo AOL. So these guys are just doing it without the browsers.
Joe, you got all that?
Skipping a step.
I can tell you one thing. This show today is definitely not AI run.
No.
Kenny, I've enjoyed the show so far today. I continue
Right,
to.
but we're showing human foibles, which AI
do you
does
think,
not do.
of our listeners right now, do you think a lot of them are clucking their tongues at us? I don't think so.
I'm watching the reaction on the YouTube page, and it's about 50-50.
BFD. Who are they?
Are
Are they AI experts?
Well, we got a guy named Full Freak.
Okay, that's what I'm looking
What's
for.
up,
We've got
Full Freak?
NASCAR
What's
Kelly.
up, full freak?
We got Jim. We got Sheer Luck Ohms.
So when you ask DeepSeek, what famous photo shows a man with shopping bags standing in front of tanks, you hit enter, and what it answers you is, it's not as quick as Siri, that's for sure.
What did you do?
The famous photo you're referring to, sorry, that's beyond my current scope. Let's talk about something else.
Oh,
Who did
so
you ask
it
that
won't-
to?
Gabe just sent this to me.
Oh.
It was from Twitter. So this person asked who that person was. They start to answer, and then that goes away.
Matt, first of all, what source did the person ask for the picture information?
They asked DeepSeek. They
And
asked them a
DeepSeek-
I
specific
mean, I
question.
can answer that question.
You're missing
getting
the
his
point.
point.
You're
Yeah.
missing the point here.
Yeah.
Okay, well, help me
It
then.
wouldn't. Sorry, that's beyond my scope. The Chinese.
It won't
it's Tiananmen
answer-
Square.
Oh, well,
sensitive
because China's going
questions.
to censor itself.
Yeah.
That's his
Right.
point.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's part of what people are upset about too. Then, is that
The market's upset because they're getting beat by a cheaper product. That's why the market's upset.
Correct.
The market doesn't give a bleep if China's going to censor its own information. The market cares about money only.
Yes.
true? But if you got investors that are up in arms, I don't know.
Do we get to the
Here's the
bottom?
question:
Yes.
How do we as a society avoid it? There's no going back. You're not putting it back in the bottle.
Well, it's a great question. How do we as a society, are we going to be willing as a society to have ourselves replaced?
I think we already are being replaced.
How far does that mean to be replaced?
If I come
Joe's
down,
not doing a show?
if I come down in the morning, today it's I could probably do it if I wanted to go to Chat PF or whatever it is.
Yeah. Chat FU.
And say, please arrange my show today. I could probably make that happen. I don't know how I'm going to handle it when I come down and say, you are no longer required to do your show. We've got it from here.
I think that's already happening. If you surfed social media more, you would have noticed in the last 6 months to a year that AI voiceovers are now the norm. Mm-hmm. So we're getting rid of voice talents who sit in a studio talking to a microphone because they're now being replaced by AI.
So Tom Bernard is not getting as many calls.
Well,
serious question, to do voiceovers.
Yeah.
Right.
And
if he was still doing that, correct. Yeah. Yep.
Because it's cheaper.
So instead of hearing Kevin Hart for a credit card commercial, I'm going to be hearing an artificial.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, there are attempts at by AI to replicate people well known like Kevin Hart.
Okay, and the money goes to the people who do that, and Kevin Hart doesn't make any money.
The money thing is interesting. I think a lot of what it is saving money. You don't have to pay Tom his talent fee. Or we all know Carolyn, who lives in Florida and does voiceover work for commercials. We don't have to pay Carolyn to voice a commercial anymore.
South Dakota is one of the most business-friendly states in the country. They probably know all about this AI stuff.
Farmland being bought by the Chinese?
Well, according to artificial intelligence, that's not the case. Sioux Falls is the largest city, of course, in South Dakota, 290,000 people. And if you're thinking of relocating your business or starting a new one, you might want to consider Sioux Falls for its low business costs and high quality of life. There's no state corporate or personal income tax, no inheritance tax, no limits to what your business can achieve, and they have welcoming open arms for entrepreneurs. There's a great website that's going to fill you in on all the information you need. It's SiouxFallsDevelopment.com. That's one word, SiouxFallsDevelopment.com. But you'd be moving to a really tax-friendly situation. In fact, the opposite of Minnesota, the exact opposite. And when it comes to entrepreneurship, the exact opposite of Minnesota. I wish this wasn't the case. I'll miss you if you move to Sioux Falls, but we have a podcast and you can take us with you. SiouxFallsDevelopment.com.
It's the end of the world as we know it, and he feels fine. Joe Soucheray.
Boy, Dylan was in a mellow mood when he did a lot of these.
Was he hitting the bong that night, John?
I don't know. Who's doing something?
Prevent common engine problems, run better, last longer, and get there without thinking twice about the distance you have to drive or the cold weather conditions you're facing. Seafoam Motor Treatment gives you peace of mind knowing that daily driver is always up to the task. Now, I realize some people, myself included, we run to the Seafoam when things get weird, when those cylinders start sputtering or hesitating, hard starting. That's okay. Always go to Seafoam before heading to the mechanic. It's nothing worse than being laughed at by a mechanic. But if you want to get in front of it all, ensure that it always runs like a champ. Give it a gulp every now and then. A couple glugs every couple fill-ups, once a month, whatever. Seafoam, it's made with safe ingredients that can't harm your engine or equipment. Actually, they do the opposite. They help it. And it doesn't matter what that equipment is, small engine, large, gas, diesel, Seafoam, always the answer. It revives, it keeps it alive, and let me tell you, my brother, that's no jive.
Wow!
It's a wonderful product in a world of bad gas, Seafoam. Back to you, Joe.
Gabe Mikulski, are you on the air, Gabe?
On the air, Joe.
You are a 20-year-old kid, and you apparently know something about AI. Are you familiar with this thing that's taking the stock market by storm called DeepSeek?
Before you start,
yes,
Gabe,
I am quite familiar with that.
do me one favor and try to be as sparsely, condescending as can be.
I will be very, very selective with my words.
Did the Chinese just invent a better mousetrap here? Why are we to be thrilled with DeepSeek?
Well, it's an interesting question, and I think there's a lot of different perspectives that you can look at this, and you'll have different answers depending on that perspective. If you're looking at it from the terms of somebody who looks at balances sheets all day and profit and loss sheets, and is somebody who works on Wall Street and stock markets, the company is fantastic.
Okay.
Like open source is amazing. There hasn't been an AI company that's been open source, which is kind of like what you guys were talking about earlier, where it's not one private company that's doing the entire thing. So having that front end of being the first person, it's something that's so essential for our future, is very exciting for people that just want to make money.
Why were they able to do it so inexpensively?
That I don't know off the top of my head. I can't give you a specific answer, but what I will say is I imagine they had a lot of help from the Chinese government. DeepSeek is from their umbrella company is called High Flyer, I believe. It's a hedge fund.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't have any shortage of money, and there definitely wasn't any shortage of resources. And it's interesting timing that it comes out right now because Donald Trump is in office. And he's making AI a large part of his agenda over these next 4 years and growing that in the American sector. So clearly the Chinese government has a major interest in keeping it away from the U.S. and trying to grow it in a way different from what like XAI and OpenAI are doing, which are both American-based artificial intelligence companies.
What does open source mean?
Thank you.
Open source has to deal with how the company is set up. So like if you know what Wikipedia, right?
Yes.
It's similar to that, where I could make a Wikipedia account and I could go in and I could say Joe Souchere is a green frog who jumps around at night.
Right.
And then somebody else can say, no, Joe Souchere is a red frog. And that would be on that Wikipedia page, meaning that there's not one person that has control over the entire thing. People with their own ideas and their own minds and their own way of doing things are able to go that way.
How would that help somebody on Wall Street?
Just because I think, obviously, I don't have all of the insiders and I'm not a stock trader on Wall Street, but it's such a different approach from all of these other artificial intelligence companies that aren't open source. So that's what I was saying earlier on. That would be something that they would look at that is different than all of the other artificial intelligence companies and is a new sector and a new way of looking at it.
Would it be? Would this be a good analogy? Open source is the ability to open as many drawers as you want, looking for the information.
No.
That kind of confused me a little bit more.
No, never mind that question. Open source, Joe, is on Wikipedia. What he just said is anybody can go to the Joe Souchere Wikipedia page and type anything they want on it.
Right.
And that's what he's telling us open source is. Gabe, that sounds dangerous to me.
Yes, I would say in a way like this is an extremely explosive and extremely dangerous way of looking at things, and it's especially scary coming from a government that is one with its entities that it's over.
Yeah.
And I'll elaborate on that a little bit, meaning if you look at how, like, let's use XAI, for example. That's Elon's artificial intelligence company.
That's take a pause, Gabe. That's on Twitter right now, Joe. So if you don't understand something that's being said on Twitter, you can click on the XI button, and it will further explain to you what that last tweet was.
All right.
Go ahead, Gabe.
Yep. And so the way that they have trained that model is based on integrity and honesty and giving you a truthful answer, which is essential for something that is going to be more powerful and more smarter than you are. Now, the issue with this is that is not what DeepSeek is doing at all. And that's the example I sent to my dad before I got on here with the Tiananmen Square. It's the premise of it, Joe. When you were saying, well, why do we care? We know that the Chinese government is going to censor things. Training that AI model on lying and giving you a wrong answer when it knows the correct answer is extremely, extremely dangerous.
Yep.
And we've never dealt with something at this scope and something that is so powerful and can back itself up in ways that we don't even know that it can.
Let me bounce a scenario off you.
Yep.
Today, I presumably could say to an AI source, Chat GPT or whatever, help me prepare my show, and it presumably would be able to. Is that a fair statement?
Yes. You could take the word presumably out, and that would be a fair statement.
All right. Then the second step would be then in some date in the near future, I could say, do you have my show ready for me today? And it would say, yes, here's your show. And I'd print it out or whatever. So far, so good?
That's good.
Okay. Then wouldn't the third step be, we don't need you to do the show. We have the information. We'll do it.
Yes, that could be a third step. I think we're probably pretty far out from that step. And I also kind of would say that while it is more intelligent and is able to give you all of the information and write your show and gather what you need as content, it doesn't have the personality of you. It's artificial, so we have to remember that it is smarter and it definitely is better in a lot of ways. And maybe in the future it'll learn how to talk like a human and make jokes like a human and do things in a way that humans communicate with each other. But I don't really think that would be something that would happen overnight or something that you really have to be nervous and aware about.
Let me take it to the fourth step. Let's say it comes to that, where the podcasts heard in America, let's say, are all AI generated. Let's just bear with me for a minute.
Yep.
What would the point be of a human listening to it? Wouldn't the AI generated podcast be just talking to other AI generated podcasts? And if so, what role do humans now have on Earth?
Well, that's scary.
That is a deep question.
It is.
Give me a little bit to respond.
Yeah.
I struggle with a necessary answer for that question. Then there's a couple ways that I'm kind of thinking about it. One being, how do we know that there is supposed to be a purpose? Like right now, obviously we all go to work, we all love our families, we all love our friends, but saying that there is supposed to be a purpose right now is something that, when you look at it from one perspective, looks like a fairy tale. But if you look at it from another perspective, you could be like, well, obviously it's love and learning from other people and growing old and doing things that you want to do, which would, I guess, in your case and everybody on this podcast, that would be taken away if your job is taken by an AI or a sentient being. But in another way, we would somehow become a cyborg. Like as of now, humans already to some extent are cyborgs with our phones and our computers, and we have a connection to electronics, and it's an ever-growing connection. It's nothing that's going to stop us from going that way, unless we do nuclear war and we blow everything up.
Okay.
But as of right now, I don't see anything that's going to stop that. It's just going to keep growing. So that's why I think it's essential to have these AI podcasters only say things that are true and only say things that are good for humanity and want to help humanity instead of take it over and lie to humanity, which is a sad reality that deep state could turn into.
A distinct possibility.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
All right.
Gabe,
one more question. Let Kenny have it at you.
Gabe, do you think DeepSeek will reinforce falsehoods? And I'll give you an example. Leading up to the election, we heard stories about migrants in Ohio eating dogs and cats. If I went to DeepSeek asking about this, would it take a political stance that would harm the United States or not?
I haven't used DeepSeek, so I can't give you a definite answer, but I have used a bunch of other artificial intelligence platforms that would give you both sides. So they'd give you all of the information, everything about that they could collect online. They could give you the side of they are eating cats and dogs, or the side that they aren't eating cats and dogs, which that is what I'm talking about. That's essential.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, one last question. Are you going to be home for dinner tonight?
Yes, I will be home for dinner.
All right, thank you.
Thanks,
You're
Brock.
welcome.
Thank you.
Yep.
I could talk about that forever. That's fascinating
Well,
to
here's
me,
the
Joe.
deal, boys. Good luck to you. I'm old enough where
You're going to be out.
Yeah, I'll see you later. You're going to be in here, sitting here with R2D2.
This is exactly why I refuse to let my kids get a cell phone yet. This very thing is what terrifies me.
Yeah, but you have to be careful they don't see.
And you do realize that AI for years has already been replacing traffic reporters, right?
I don't know that.
Oh, yeah. You can go to Waze. You can go to,
Oh, yeah, all right.
hell, you can go right to MnDOT. There's many, many sources that you can go to that give you instant traffic reports on demand. So guys like me, we have to keep on lighting our hair on fire and playing the knucklehead in order to stay employed.
Seems to me the only way this could be thwarted. Let's just assume for a moment that AI would take a dark turn. Seems to me the only way that it could be thwarted was the entire human population would have to take a vow of silence.
Yeah, and that'll never happen. But you're
because
right.
because the artificial intelligence is getting its algorithms from what they hear and what you seek and what you look up. So the entire human population would have to go dark and not say a thing, and then the computers are helpless.
Yeah, off the grid.
Off the grid.
Yeah, but then
all of us.
On the flip side, you've got nerds like Gabe using their superpowers to squash it or push it away. I mean, there's good people that, he's been around electronics his whole life. And there's people like that will push back against this, that are in high places. And I mean, I don't know where Elon Musk is and all those other guys, but there's enough people that are going to resist, I think.
It combines class winning and leading, technology and stuff.
Yeah, it's got the stuff. Why don't we take a break and come back with Johnny?
We can, but first I need to tell you about my friends at Hofferman Water. Here's the deal. Actually, I have to make a little appointment to do some filter exchanges with Hofferman Water. And all you got to do is get on the schedule to have them come up for that free water analysis today. And you can do that one of two ways. You can give them a call directly at 612-895-2440, or you can book your appointment online at HoffermanWater.com. Either way, you can get that visit out there, have them give you that water score with that free water analysis. And if you use their website, which is HoffermanWater.com, you can see every single water treatment system that they have to offer on their website. And it doesn't matter. Maybe you're in the market for a brand new water softener, maybe an iron, rust, and odor filtration system, or a brand new drinking water system, or to hell with it. Get all three. Why not? Treat yourself in 2025 with the gift of clean and impressive and amazing water. I've been a customer for years, and I cannot speak highly enough of Hofferman Water and Connecticut. It's made an amazing difference in the quality of my water, and it'll do the same for you. So once again, 612-895-2440 or visit HoffermanWater.com. Hofferman Water has been proudly serving the state of Minnesota for over 50 years. Please do me a favor and mention that you heard about them on the Garage Logic podcast.
The earth is not your mother. The Joe Souchere Show.
I got the right spot for you guys to go and get in touch with these people. It's unclogdrains.com. It's super easy, but it's super smart to do to make sure everything is always flowing freely. That, again, you need to go to the website. Yeah, you want everything flowing freely, right? Like they'll come down with a camera and check out your pipes, if you know what I mean. Now, if you don't get that done and that main drain, the sewer line isn't cleaned out, could cost you a hell of a lot of money. That's why we go to, yes, unclogdrains.com. That's the website for the McDonough's team. You can trust them. They specialize in unclogging all sorts of drains, cleaning out those sewer lines, performing preventative maintenance, and to avoid costly backups. Homes, businesses, they handle everything from minor blockages to major drain issues, including water jetting, video inspections like I talked about, and even grease trap cleaning for commercial kitchens. They got the big vac trucks. They suck all the junk out of there. And what sends unclogged drains apart? Their expertise and honesty. Get in touch with them. 24/7, they answer the phone, 651-436-3370. Don't underestimate a clogged drain. That's uncloggeddrains.com.
Here, before John, here are the 6 screaming headlines on the Drudge bulletin board. They all are beneath the icon of the whale, the deep-seek cute whale. Chinese AI rocks world. Giant leap. Triggers tech sell-off. $1 trillion panic. Doubts over U.S. dominance. Hit with cyber attack. Here's John.
Thanks, Joe. This update
that was depressing.
Update brought to you by North American Banking Company. Speaking of AI, from a musical standpoint, it's very weird.
It's going to hurt musicianship.
Well, here's the deal. You know, every keyboard you hear on Dylan's bumps, you know how that's played, right?
Yeah, he just presses a button and he's getting it from something.
He plays a computer key, which 8 keys that control all the notes on the keyboard.
Oh,
and they sound incredibly authentic. For instance, he's got some bumps that have a B3 organ in. If you hadn't told me, I'd have gone, he had a B3 organ downstairs.
So when Joe asked him about who plays the trumpet,
yes,
that's where that came from.
It was an unmuted horn, and that was all computer.
That.
Oh.
Yeah.
Not that stupid.
But the point is, it's remarkable.
Actually, though, the trumpet's a little different because he does have to play the notes on guitar. Or he can play them also on the keyboard and transform them into a trumpet sound. So it creates some
John,
yes.
Along those lines, we did get an emailer from Brian listening on the town council. I have a feeling that in 5 years, the last 10 minutes is going to sound like when Katie Couric and Bryant Gumbel trying to figure out what the internet was in 1992. Or excuse me, what email was in 1992.
Yeah, he's probably right. And one quick sports note before we get to the news. If you missed it over the weekend, the Twins at Twins Fest revealed their pricing plan for the game's new streaming television service. Twins president Dave St. Peter told reporters at Twins Fest the new Twins.tv will be available for $99.99 for a full season, $99.99 for a full season subscription, or $19.99 a month. Unlike standard MLB TV subscriptions, which black out streamed coverage of local games, the Twins say subscribers to Twins.tv will not be subject to local blackouts for viewers located in the upper Midwest region. Now, MLB.com will also have a one channel where you can watch the Twins, but they have not announced a price for that yet.
I thought St. Peter resigned.
I did too.
He did. He's outgoing. I
see.
should have put outgoing on there. That would have made more sense.
So wait a minute. You're telling me that my satellite TV service is worthless? I will not be able to see the Twins on that?
No, I don't think you will you?
I don't know, but let's not go into it because it's
No,
really
it's
boring.
worth going into. I want everybody that advertises on the Twins to realize I'm not going to see your ads. I'm not going to see one single Twins game this summer, not one.
When I saw this over the weekend, I went, they have no idea what they're doing because
you've just lost all your viewers.
Exactly.
I paid $210 a month for this ridiculous satellite service, and it ensures me that I get to watch the Twins and the Wild. And now you've taken the Twins out of that.
I bet that will prove not to be the case.
Well, how so, Joe?
You think they'll make an effort to make sure?
Yes, I'm sure that you'll be accommodated.
Especially if this new ownership group acquires them, they will make sure.
Not one pitch, Twins advertisers, not one.
Come to Garage Logic. Garage Logic.
Twins.tv, I would think, would somehow create agreements with
the Twins are not in the
cetera.
business of shutting out 100,000 Minnesota.
Oh, you mean like
customers?
last summer?
Well, whatever. I mean, don't be tinfoil here. They're
No.
going to take care of it.
No, they're not. You mean like the NHL putting Wild games on ESPN What the F?
Plus
ESPN
Dos.
2.
Yeah, so
Which I don't
see
even
Wild
get,
Games.
and we pay about $4,000 a month for
Right.
cable.
They're on the Ocho.
They're on the Ocho.
Now, I personally, I don't care. I'm covered, but I think it's a pretty good deal. You get about 150 some games. They don't carry them all, but 150 they'll carry.
For less than $1
for
a game.
less than $1 a game.
I couldn't
That's-
care less
that's
about
just-
any other baseball team. I want to watch the Twins.
That's Twins games, Kenny. 150 games for the
Oh,
year.
I see what you're
At
saying. I'm sorry. I'm
99.99.
so angry. I'm not
can
listening.
tell.
I'm really so upset. I can't hear anything.
How in the hell are we supposed to understand AI when we can't understand baseball and television?
Thank you, Joe. We are so old. Oh my
It,
God.
It has nothing to do with age.
Oh, well, in my case, it does.
Yeah. In news, St. Paul City Council President Mitra Jalali of Ward 4 has announced she'll step down next month. She posted this on Facebook. She said she will be taking a leave of absence after the City Council meeting on February 5 to focus on her physical and mental health and well-being. Jalali says her fellow City Council members will work in the coming weeks to appoint an interim council member for Ward 4 through a public process. A special election will follow, allowing residents to choose who will fill out the rest of her term, which runs through 2028. Jalali first elected to the St. Paul City Council in 2018 through a special election and was re-elected in 2019. In late 2023, while running for a third term, Jalali spoke to care providers who said her profession was negatively impacting her health and well-being.
I wish the best for her health, but she will not be missed.
Okay.
Or will they replace her with
Well,
some?
to keep it the least diverse city council in America, I'm sure they'll have to replace her with another female.
Got it.
Yeah.
A Minnesota man accused of helping his son hide 4 bodies in a Wisconsin cornfield has been sentenced to 16 years in prison. Dunn County Circuit Judge James Peterson sentencing 59 Darren Osborne of St. Paul on Thursday. A jury found him guilty of 4 counts of hiding a corpse in October. You'll probably remember this story. According to prosecutors, Osborne's son, Antoine Suggs of Scottsdale, Arizona, shot the 4 people after a night of drinking in St. Paul in September of 2021. Suggs told his father he snapped and shot a couple of people, according to the complaint. Osborne followed Suggs to a Dunn County cornfield about 65 miles east of St. Paul. They left the bodies in Suggs's Mercedes-Benz SUV, abandoned the vehicle in the cornfield, and left in Osborne's vehicle. A farmer who owned the cornfield discovered the bodies. Suggs testified he shot the 4 in self-defense because he thought they were going to rob him. But prosecutors countered his motive was unclear, but he meant to kill them. He was ultimately convicted and sentenced to 103 years in prison in 2023. Now, Osborne is already serving 5 years in prison in Minnesota for helping his son. He'll serve what remains of the Minnesota sentence and the Wisconsin sentence concurrently.
No bond is stronger than the father-son bond. Reavers, would you do that for your boys?
Which one? The older one, 100%.
Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison today announcing a settlement in a lawsuit against insulin manufacturer Novo Nordisk. Minnesota residents will now be able to get Novo Nordisk insulin for $35. This is the third settlement. The Attorney General's office had also sued Eli Lilly and Sanofi. Now Minnesotans will have access to affordable insulin from each of the 3 manufacturers. Ellison first accused the companies of deceptive pricing back in 2018. Last year, Ellison reached a settlement with Eli Lilly. It guarantees that for 5 years, Minnesotans will pay no more than $35 a month for the drug. The manufacturer also agreed to donate insulin to 15 clinics across the state to be available to patients for free. Ellison announced a similar agreement with Sanofi last July. Organizers with Twin Cities Pride say the event is losing $50,000 in funding after they parted ways with Target amid the company's decision to roll back its diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. Twin Cities Pride made the decision for Target not to have a presence at festivities or their parade this year. On Sunday, organizers with Twin Cities Pride called on the LGBTQ community to help raise funds for the event, adding that Target's absence will eliminate $50,000 in funding. As of this morning, Target had no comment for various news organizations.
That's a bold move, isn't it? Bold strategy.
If you're gay and you still need toothpaste, and you're driving by Target, aren't you going to go in and get it anyway?
I think they'll still sell it to you.
Yeah.
And Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara joining the number of law enforcement members speaking out against President Trump's pardon of January 6th rioters in an op-ed in the Star Tribune on Sunday. Chief O'Hara said it was a decision that will come back to haunt America, with the message being violence against police if warranted if it doesn't fit your political agenda. He pointed specifically to several rioters taking violent action against police who were pardoned by the president. Several members of right-wing groups who were pardoned or had their sentences commuted have called for retribution against judges and prosecutors in their cases. One of those, Stuart Rhodes, founder of the right-wing militia group Oath Keepers, whose prison sentence for his role was commuted, showed up at President Trump's Saturday rally in Las Vegas. Rhodes, released from prison Tuesday, was among dozens of Trump supporters who stood behind the president over the weekend as he gave remarks at Circa Resort and Casino. Why don't we take a quick break here and hear from Mr. Reavers?
Thank you, Johnny. North American Banking Company, the sponsor John forgot to mention at the beginning of his news segment.
Said it right before the sports.
They take the time to get to know you, your family, and in some cases, your business. That's why I made the switch from my big national bank to my friends at North American Banking Company. And they have 6 Twin Cities locations to serve you. Roseville and 50th in France is the home of yours truly. But you can also see them in Hastings, Woodbury, Shoreview, and Maple Grove. They offer all of the services as the other big national banks, whether you're looking to buy a home, finance a new home renovation project, or get that new car that you've been thinking about. My friends at North American Banking Company are going to be able to help you out. They offer the same online and mobile banking options as the other banks, but you're going to get the unparalleled service of a community bank. Locally owned and operated. Here's why that's important. That means loan decisions are made right here in the Twin Cities. They are not sent out of state. So this helps business owners solve problems quickly and expand their business with confidence. They deal with numbers every single day, but you are never going to be one of them. So your first step is checking them out online today. It's nabankco.com to learn more. nabankco.com. It's banking done differently. North American Banking Company, member FDIC, is an equal housing lender.
Here's a man who spends hours in hardware stores, sifting through the nuts and bolts of life. Joe Soucheray.
Hey, leave this one up because it's got a guest guitarist. That'd be me.
So the only thing humans are doing here is playing the guitar.
He might be playing drums on this, I think, too. And he's probably playing bass, so he's playing everything.
This reminds me of the bed we used to play under Mike Zimmer a little bit.
But wait a minute. It's not a drum kit like you have sitting in your garage, Joe.
Well, it is a drum kit, but it's electronic.
Right. May I, going back to DEI for a moment in Target, to me that's much ado about nothing. Over the weekend, I was made aware that because of DEI initiatives, the Tuskegee Airmen film, or a film about them, was going to no longer be shown to incoming freshmen at the U.S. Air Force Academy.
Saw that.
Because of DEI. And I thought, well, that can't be. That has nothing to do with DEI. And why in God's name shouldn't the Air Force kids coming in be made aware of the Tuskegee Airmen? Well, it turns out that the only thing I can conclude is that some anxious underling trying to fulfill the DEI erasures, somehow that got included. Well, that was quickly fixed, and that's not the case. The Air Force Academy will still be continuing to honor and making incoming students aware of the Tuskegee Airmen. I just wanted to get that out there. So I don't know why that came up in the first place.
I had it in my news anyway, so good. I'm glad you did.
The thing about the Tuskegee Airmen, though, they were qualified.
Well,
I mean,
not
they
only
were
that,
damn
but
good pilots.
It has nothing to do with diversity, equity, and inclusion.
But it was being shown as part of a program, a DEI program.
Exactly, and which was wrong on the part of the Air Force. This had nothing to do with that.
You're right. You know what? Yeah, you're absolutely right.
It does have something to do with inclusion. They couldn't be with the white Air Force members. That's why they had their own.
Okay.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Interesting story, though.
The Senate confirmed Pete Hegseth on Friday as the nation's defense secretary. Rarely has a cabinet nominee faced such wide-ranging concerns about his experience and behavior, but the Republican-led Senate was determined to confirm Hegseth, the former Fox News host and combat veteran who has vowed to bring a warrior culture. Vice President J.D. Vance had to arrive to break the 50-50 tie, highly unusual for cabinet nominees who usually win by wider bipartisan support. President Trump said he didn't care about the dissent from Senator Mitch McConnell, the influential former Republican leader who joined two other Republicans, Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska and Senator Susan Collins of Maine, in voting against Hegseth, the president saying only what was important was the winning part of it. Meanwhile, the Senate confirmed South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem Saturday to be Secretary of Homeland Security. She's been a vocal advocate for Trump's immigration agenda, which is handled by Homeland Security, as she explained to senators during her confirmation hearing.
And to the loyal jailer that emailed me, no, I do not want to go on the terror watch list just to meet Kristi Noem.
No,
Okay.
neither do I.
Noted. Noted.
Like a good idea.
That was a very funny email, though.
Speaking of immigration, President Trump claiming an early victory for a coercive foreign policy based on tariffs and hard power on Sunday after announcing Colombia had backed down in a dispute over migrant repatriation flights. The president had earlier unveiled swift and painful punishment, including huge tariffs on Colombia, in his most overt attempt yet to make an example of a nation that crossed him. The crisis erupted when Colombian President Gustavo Petro, a left-winger, blocked U.S. military flights carrying undocumented migrants from landing. After hours of tension with Bogota, the White House said Colombia had agreed to accept migrant flights, including on military aircraft, and that tariffs would be held off pending its implementation of the deal. A trade war with Colombia would have caused some issues with the price of coffee, bananas, plantains, and citrus fruits.
Is plantain what Pat bought thinking it was a banana?
Yes.
And he had a hard time with it.
In fact, he was compelled to tweet it out. What the bleep is this?
What is this? It's not a banana. It looks like it, but it's not one.
Meanwhile, the president used executive authority after he fired more than a dozen watchdog officials over the weekend in key government, a move that actually is illegal, and those people say they will not leave their post. The purge is part of Trump's attempt to remake the federal government in line with the long-held conservative belief that the federal bureaucracy always frustrates Republican presidents as they try to implement electoral mandates, and harkens back to the 2025 project plan to replace federal employees with people loyal to the president's ideas. Since the agency inspectors general report waste, fraud, and abuse to Congress, the move is being criticized by Democrats as an abuse of power and a sign of Trump's regard for government ethics, and some top Republicans also complaining the president should have complied with the law. The law says Congress has to have 30 days notice of those dismissals. 4 female Israeli soldiers who were taken in the attack that sparked the war in Gaza returned to Israel on Saturday after Hamas militants paraded them before a crowd of thousands in Gaza City and handed them over to the Red Cross. Israel later releasing 200 Palestinian prisoners in the second exchange of the ceasefire. Meanwhile, President Trump's push to have Egypt and Jordan take in large numbers of Palestinian refugees from Gaza fell flat with those countries' governments and left a key congressional ally in Washington perplexed on Sunday. Fighting that broke out in October is paused due to that crossfire, but most of Gaza's population has been left homeless. Trump told reporters Saturday aboard Air Force One that moving some 1.5 million people away from Gaza might mean that we, quote, just clean out the whole thing. Trump relayed what he told Jordan's King Abdullah when the two held a call earlier Saturday. He said he was making a similar appeal to Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi during a conversation they were having. In contrast, though, to the president's idea, hundreds of thousands of displaced Palestinians were allowed by Israeli forces this morning to start returning to their towns and villages in Gaza. Jordan's Foreign Minister Ayman Safadi said Sunday that his country's opposition to what Trump floated was firm and unwavering. Egypt's foreign minister issued a statement saying the temporary or long-term transfer of Palestinians risks expanding the conflict in the region. Update. Remember the escaped monkeys?
From
Who
where?
could forget them?
South Carolina. Remember
Oh,
the
yeah.
43 monkeys?
They're at a bio lab.
They have got the last 4 back.
All
They're
right.
all back.
Good.
They actually weathered a rare snowstorm, the last 4, and they were tempted back into captivity by peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Who can resist?
Monkeys love snow.
Yes.
Yeah, that's.
The monkeys, all females, made a break for it after police say an employee did not fully lock their enclosure at Alpha Genesis, a facility that breeds them for medical research, known to locals as the Monkey Farm.
Oh, yeah.
The recaptured monkeys appeared to be in good health, according to Alpha Genesis CEO Greg Westergaard.
Now, is every bird and snake and rodent in the Carolinas poisoned now because of the monkey poop? And they, they were being tested they were experimenting on these monkeys. I wonder if this has a negative effect on what we call our environment.
Mm-hmm. They do like to fling their poop, don't they?
They do, man. They're poop throwers.
The low levels of gravity in space causes significant changes in astronauts' eyes and vision. I'm sorry,
John. I feel so sorry for those two people stuck on the space station because it's unlikely they'll have a normal life. Yeah. I don't even think they'll be able to walk.
Plus, they're looking at each other going, hey, we're going to be here
I mean,
for a
you
while.
can only can apricots so many times a day before there's,
Anyway, eyes, if you're in space 6 to 12 months aboard the International Space Station, it causes some problems with your eyes.
Yeah.
The good news is they switch back. All of this was found in a study published last fall in the Journal of Engineering and Medicine and Biology. At least 70% of astronauts on the ISS have been affected by spaceflight-associated neurocular syndrome, or SANS.
Oh.
The Biophotonics Research Unit that he runs at affiliated Maison Vaux Rosemont Hospital, I don't know where that is, assembled a group of researchers to identify the biochemical changes. They analyzed data collected by the Canadian team at NASA on 13 astronauts who spent between 157 and 186 days on the ISS. Once they get back, they have to wear corrective eyeglasses for a short period to correct the symptoms developed aboard the ISS. However, the research community and international space agencies are cautious about all this. They say it could affect flights we want to take to Mars or even further. The eye health effects of prolonged exposure to microgravity remain unknown, and no preventive measures now exist that would help people.
I don't know if you guys know this or not, but the eyes are actually a part of the brain.
They attach right there, the optic nerve.
Thank you.
Yeah, I got you on that.
Huh. Interesting.
Just thought I'd tell you.
I mean, Chat GPT, you ain't getting that from them.
Yeah, you don't need that.
No.
Good stuff, Joe.
Thank you.
One last thing I'm just going to mention briefly. It's a long story, but it's fascinating.
I'm glad you're going to keep it brief then, John.
Well, I have about 23 paragraphs here, but I don't think you want to hear all these.
No.
It was in the LA Times, who's been doing a great job with the fire stories. Danny Robinson is a fellow there.
Yep.
Everything he had was destroyed.
Yep.
Among the things destroyed,
Yep.
1986 Corvette he'd been working on for a while, and it was done. He had ordered an ignition switch. That's all he was waiting, and he was waiting for registration for the car. It was road ready once he got that. He had that. That was his dream car. He said, it's gone. The wildfire also took his beautiful, I saw pictures of it before the fire, 1966 Pontiac GTO.
Mm-hmm.
Took a 1962 Impala that he'd been restoring, ravaged his father's old Ford pickup. If you're wondering why this pickup is important, it was driven up from Mississippi and preserved to remind the family of the dad who more than half a century ago brought his wife, sons, and daughters out of Jim Crow in the South to the California foothills.
Yeah.
The whole thing, the whole yard, destroyed. His neighbor also had his house destroyed. His neighbor for a time was Kenny Elliott, who was the drummer for Lou Rawls, Ray Charles, and Ella Fitzgerald. He had a symbol, one of Kenny's symbols, up on a tree in a way to remember him because Kenny had passed away.
Mm-hmm.
That obviously charred and destroyed in the fire. Wow. However, Kenny said at the end of this story, I got close to living my dream. That's much further than many men get. He said, now I'll just move on.
Okay, let me tell you a couple of things.
Sure, Joe.
I'll give you the GTO and the Impala. An 84 Corvette might have been among the worst of the generation.
86, but you're right.
86. It didn't even have analog instruments. It had little computer things like Star Wars. And, the guy's better off.
Got it.
He is better off.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you, Joe. I don't want to kick a guy when he's down, but
I didn't
guys
want
are
to say
such
anything
dorks.
about cars during that fire
Let's-
because it's terribly insensitive, but I just can't imagine the great stuff that was lost.
Sure.
But which is meaningless to even say because these people were without their homes.
Right.
They had a story last week about a guy who's known as the biggest record collector in that area, and he collects rare records too, so that copies are never lost. They were all destroyed.
Why did steel and aluminum melt?
Temperature?
That's kind of that borders on your conspiracy theories.
Isn't that crazy?
Why?
though, when
That
you're
these fires were caused by an artificial.
No, I'm just saying it was so hot.
Well, I didn't think aluminum melted.
Oh, sure.
Oh,
It's got its
Steel
number.
is
Yeah, beer cans, you throw those in a bonfire when you're empty. Yeah, they'll go right out.
steel is right around 20 or 2,600 degrees, right around that range for melting point. Turns white before it turns liquid.
boy, oh boy.
John, I just want to go on record to tell you that
Yes,
I really
sir.
enjoyed that story.
No, I enjoyed it, John, but the poor guy was restoring the wrong Corvette.
Well, maybe it had a memory to him. that he
Maybe
wanted to.
it did.
Yeah, didn't you restore a cruddy old Mercury snowmobile from the 60s, the ones that are prone to tip over while standing still?
Yes.
Okay, that's a horrible machine.
That wasn't a very good.
No, and you restored it because it's maybe
It
he was
fun.
restoring.
It was
that-
fun.
He was restoring that Corvette because he knows that it's a piece of crap.
Maybe that's
and
it.
it's an eyesore.
He said, quote, that was my dream car. I don't know why. It doesn't say in the story why it was his dream car. But
Maybe it made him think of an old girlfriend.
I'd go a few years before that or a few years after it to pick my dream.
I hope he had insurance. That's all.
I do
hope.
too.
It
I hope
didn't
he
say
got
in the
a check.
story, and as I'm reading the story, I thought the same thing. It sounds to me like he.
Well, I don't want to get racial here, but was this a black neighborhood, I wonder?
It was a black neighborhood, yes.
In
yeah.
Pacific Palisades?
No, it was in the Eaton, part of the Eaton
the Eaton
Canyon
fire? Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well-
Obviously, it was a black family, a black area. The truck came out of the Jim Crow South that his father moved there with.
I'd probably miss the loss of the truck more than the vet.
When I first read the story,
Yeah.
I would think to your family, that's got to be about the most important
Yeah,
thing in the world.
absolutely.
And the symbol. I'd miss the guy's symbol.
Yeah. It's just his friendship.
Well, thank you very much. Let me tell you that you need a garage door guy.
Yeah.
And we have
Well,
one.
that guy doesn't anymore.
Nope. Unfortunately, there's a lot of destroyed garages in California. But you need a garage door guy here, Western Wisconsin, in the metro, then you go with Precision Door. They've become the garage door guy of the GLers. Put this number into your contacts. They'll get out quick. They take care of everything. They don't charge more for weekend visits. They really are the best. 612-263-6985. Perhaps you need a new garage door to improve security or insulation or the aesthetics of the old estate. They have doors for every budget, models of doors for every budget, and a garage door designer comes out and you chat about it. You figure out the right, you don't have to bring the door to them, and that's free.
Right. That's a super
It's a really great way to
Love
do
that
it, isn't it?
feature, yeah.
And so you can also book that appointment online if you wish at Precision Door MN. That's one word, precisiondoormn.com.
Fighting the demagogues of diversity. It's Joe Souchere.
Hey, Jay, what now? Hi. January's almost over, GLers, if you can believe it. That means we'll be selecting our next batch of superfans to be recognized as GLer of the Week for February next week. That's right. If you want to be eligible to be highlighted on the show by the mayor himself, all you've got to do is be an active annual town council member this Friday night. You also get that amazing $50 gift basket from our friends at Masters Maples and mastersmaples.com. Don't wait. Join the town council or upgrade your membership now. And you, yes, you could be the GLer of the Week. Just go to garagelogic.com for all the details.
Hi.
Joe?
Yeah.
Our mother is rumbling. Do you care to hear from
Yes, I would. Stacy, the GL geologist, is weighing in on a rumbler in Maine.
A 3.8 magnitude earthquake hit the town of Kittery 3 hours ago. That's in Maine. Also, a 4.2 hit Custer, Idaho 2 hours ago.
Really?
So she's rumbling.
Boy, oh boy. You'll recall that these geniuses, led by Walls, came up with an e-bike rebate program in the state of Minnesota, right? And I was alerted to this piece. It's in a site called MotorOne.com. I've never heard of that. I don't know what it is, but I find this story to be very credible. And so we had an e-bike rebate program with discounts of up to 50 to 75%, all the way up to $1,500 off an e-bike. And there was a certain amount of money in the pot to use for this rebate program, and the idea was to reserve 40% of the rebates for lower income people who would actually benefit the most from the bike.
Okay.
However, once that target was hit, the program was changed to a first come, first serve, free for all, and the result is that even wealthy people wanted in on the savings, and the script was pretty much flipped. Over 40% of the rebates went to people earning over $100,000 a year, while only 37% went to low-income applicants.
Oh, wow.
So the geniuses came up with this. This sparked a lot of debate, with people questioning the fairness and equitability of the program. In fact, State Senator Omar Fateh, who helped create the program, is pushing for changes to make it fairer and better funded. Well, what he means by that is to make sure no one who makes any money can qualify for this program, even though it's taxpayer money.
Mm-hmm.
The program's popularity has also highlighted growing pains. When applications opened, the system was overwhelmed. Around 14,000 people tried to apply within minutes. And while that clearly showed that the creators of the program may have bitten off more than they could chew, it also showed just how much interest there is in e-bikes, which are available at EcoFun Motorsports, both for low-income people and those with more than enough disposable income. I don't know who's deciding what more than enough is. With all that being said, it's clear that programs like this need more support and perhaps a bit more thought in order to meet everyone's needs. It's not just a Minnesota thing. Colorado had an e-bike rebate program that had similar issues because those evil people who actually make money were taking advantage of it. So this e-bike rebate program could be quite a game changer. E-bikes are the bee's knees if you're of a certain age, and pedaling gets to be a task. And what we're going to do in Minnesota is lament the fact that too many people took advantage of the rebate program who the state would determine didn't need to.
Got it.
So what that tells me is that the likes of Omar Fateh and the rest of these activists are going to have to come up with an e-bike program that's applicable only below certain income levels. That's probably what they'll end up doing. Now,
Fateh's higher education bill included tuition-free public colleges and universities and tribal colleges for students from families whose income is less than $80 a year. It also included an increase to hunger-free campus grants.
Well, you don't need any more food programs in this state. Yeah. You're a complete idiot if you're going hungry in this state. There's food. People are throwing food at you.
Since he took office, local media have reported his ties to two controversies.
If you don't eat in this state, your jaw's been wired shut.
Yep. Feeding our future. And when the scandal broke, he condemned the fraudulent activities.
Of course he did.
And returned $11,000 in contributions.
Did he say harumph?
Harumph.
In fact, if you're in Pelican Rapids, you have to turn down food.
They bring it to your house.
Hey, I'm full here. Leave me alone.
Yeah. Soup again?
That's
all the
quite the blanket indictment, Joe.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's one of your best blanket indictments I've heard.
Here's today's blanket indictment.
Yeah, well, you're an idiot if you're hungry.
Jesus, Joe.
Only because they come to us all the way from the Traveling Lymans.
Way back.
Who are searching the night sky in Lake Las Vegas, Nevada for anomalies. I just put that in there. They might be. It's on this day,
January 27th.
We didn't do much, Chris. It was on this day.
She's probably cold.
Yep.
Yep.
You gotta get down to Harlingen.
It was on this day
Jan 27.
in 1871, Kentucky Congressman James Proctor Knott delivered the speech, "The Glories of Duluth," to Congress, mocking the city in an effort to defeat a bill granting land to the St. Croix and Lake Superior Railroad. Duluth citizens appreciated the free publicity, however, and the town of Proctor was named for him.
Wow.
He mocks the city
Yeah.
and they name a town for him.
Yeah, it just really backfired
Is that how
on
it works?
James Knott. And then finally, we didn't do much on this day.
On Jan 27.
Well, it was on this day, though.
Yes, sir.
What's this day?
Jan 27.
In 1960, Grand Portage National Monument, established by Congress in 1958 and located within the Grand Portage Indian Reservation, was dedicated when Secretary of the Interior Fred A. Seaton accepted the site from the Grand Portage Band of the Minnesota Chippewa. The 8.5-mile Gitche Onagaming Great Carrying Place near the mouth of the Pigeon River was a major getaway into the interior of North America for exploration, the fur trade, and commerce. So it was on this day that we dedicated the Grand Portage National Monument. GLers,
Thank you.
treasure your fellow humans, because you never know when we're going to be replaced by
Golf carts.
a little iconic blue whale on your phone.
And boy, the emails after this show should be fun.
I think they should be. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Please do us a favor, if you wouldn't mind. Hit the subscribe button. It's right there on the Garage Logic YouTube channel. Yeah. Did you know that Garage Logic has a YouTube channel? We do the show every single day on YouTube, starting right around noon. And on that YouTube channel, you can see full segments, video shorts, behind the scenes footage in some cases, Rookie trying to get out of the pool.
Yeah.
I think it's on YouTube.
Marine barracks profanity.
Yes. Yes, it's all there for you. You can also follow us along.
Kenny's really feeling bad about
I know
that.
he does.
Don't worry about it.
If you were offended.
Sorry.
I wasn't offended. It was directed at me.
Right. You can
Yeah.
also follow us on social media. That includes X, Facebook, Instagram, and what am I forgetting? DeepSeek, pretty soon. Also, sign up for the Daily Logician. That email comes right to your inbox each and every single day. And that's right, it includes the most recent episode of the podcast.
It's pretty simple today.
Yes, sir.
All AI all the time.
AI gonna meet AI.
Where's my screen, Chris?
Whoop.